This time on Whatever We Want, we talk about
how we would fix the DC universe. Warner Brothers announced that they're setting up a new 10-year plan for the DC universe to turn things around. So we're going to give our unwarranted opinion on how we would approach saving the DC universe. There are time codes down in the description. If you'd like to jump around the different points in the episode, we talk everything from Batman to Blue Beetle. Enjoy! Welcome back to Whatever We Want, where we review content across all mediums of media, movies, TV shows, video games, and beyond to give you the most interesting behind-the-scenes insights, storytelling techniques, all that jazz, and more.
We cover everything from Disney, Pixar, Marvel, DC, and more. Everything on screen has a purpose, and it's our job to point out why. So without further ado, let's jump right into it.
PreBanter. Hello, Daniel and Evan. Again, we're joined by our good friend Evan. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Later today, we're leaving for vacay. So,
woo! So thank you for getting this in last minute. Daniel, how are you doing? We're twinning for a video podcast episode.
I'm good.
Yeah, it's 1 p.m., so Daniel usually is not up at this time.
I stay up till 6 working.
Well, I want you to wake up because we are talking about we have some news. And we're talking about a lot of DC stuff today, as we said in the intro. But Evan, you're here because you're like an expert. Like, I mean, look at his background for video podcast viewers.
So I acquired these pop-ups whenever
like cardboard cutouts.
Yeah, the Batman v Superman. Yeah,
and Cavill Man.
Yep. So I was like, you know what?
How much were those?
They were just like hiding in the closet. I'm like, this is perfect time. We're finally talking about DC. Finally.
Yeah, I mean, Evan, your username, your super name in. Username.
I
oh
like
my
that
gosh,
super
I can't speak. Your username in a lot of like games that we play when we game is like it used to be like Superman.
Superman, now it's Superhuman.
Now it's Superhuman. So like very on brand. I felt like this episode. Yeah. I mean, before we jump into like the announcement and everything that happened, I want to talk about a little bit of other DC news just up top before we jump into the main segment. Did you guys hear about the Joker announcement?
Too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Coming 2024.
Yeah, October 4th, 2024. So this is going to be, I guess, the Halloween movie of the year again. And also Lady Gaga is confirmed to star in it. She, I think, is Harley Quinn, right?
Yeah. So people are saying, people are speculating that Joker 2 is going to be more of a musical than the first one. So like, not like an entire Broadway production, but still very musical.
Wait, the first one was a musical?
No, the first one was not. The second one,
yes.
Like you haven't seen Joker. Daniel, as someone who hasn't seen the first Joker, what do you think about all this like Joker 2 news?
I think it's fine.
Okay.
I don't know. It's like
I think Daniel's not gonna change his life about this.
Yeah, it's Joker. You know, like I get it. It was revolutionary, but like again, as someone who hasn't seen it, like I'm not really that motivated to go watch it.
It was like this crazy revolutionary thing. I don't want to see it.
Like for instance, I'm more interested in stories like from the comics,
the Killing
like
Joke.
Well, even that, like obviously, but like no, like more recently, like the Batman Who Laughs and stuff like that. Like kind of that like newish rendition of like what if Batman was Joker in a way, and that going like super crazy stuff like that.
I feel like if DC went into their own realm of like what if, I feel like that would definitely be a story that they would tell.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, like what if Batman was the Joker?
What if Batman and Joker had the roles reversed?
Yeah.
That'd be interesting. Mark Hamill voices. I don't know. Got some
that
money
would be
on
dope.
your hands. But the next bit of news that kind of like sparked the idea for this week's episode is that Batgirl and the Scoop sequel were both canceled. And they were 2 completed films. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
like, they were
like,
completely
why?
filmed. Okay, so...
Was it for continuity stuff?
No, apparently it's like... There's like tax reasons and Warner Brothers is like shifting their strategy. So it's kind of wild. I was talking to my roommate and some people at work about this yesterday. But like last year, if you remember 2021, Warner Brothers' strategy was to release movies in theaters and HBO Max simultaneously, and like people like Christopher Nolan got like upset, but they were doing it because like COVID, and they were trying to boost their numbers for like revenue by pushing HBO Max subscriptions. That's how they were going to focus on getting income. But they saw Top Gun this year and how well that performed, and they took that as like, oh, movie theaters are back. I mean, it is possible to like make good money back at movie theaters, but again, I think it's like that was a great movie, so they have to just be careful, because like if you just put out like a mediocre like Morbius or something, like,
it's morbid time, dude.
But so apparently Warner Bros. Is changing their strategy to focus on theaters again, and so Batgirl and the Scoop sequel were supposed to just drop on HBO Max, no theater release. So instead of spending an additional like 30 to 50 million, however much it was going to be to market those and like keep pushing those, they decided to cut their losses. And it was also like a tax incentive that if they legally never release it to the public, they make a little bit of money back as like a tax write-off from the government. So like legally, it like can't even just like be dropped on HBO Max. Like it legally can never see the light of day, which just sucks for all those people that worked on it.
But all those people still got paid, right?
Up until now, but yeah, like I'm imagining like all it like it still had a couple weeks, months, I don't know, in like production. So like I'm imagining like people in the position I'm in, like I'm a visual effects coordinator. Yeah, like if those projects just get scrapped, like
See, I'm very surprised about Batgirl because that was a very highly anticipated film.
Yeah,
because they teased Michael Keaton's Batman, and they even have like a shot of the movie with Michael Keaton's Batman just there, like Batgirl face to face with Michael Keaton. I'm like, I would have I would have hopped out of my seat and left like that. Okay, not in a bad way, but I would have been so excited that I would have just hopped out of my seat because that
I actually read. Cool. So I saw in like a news source that in Aquaman 2, Michael Keaton's Batman is supposed to just show up at some point. I don't know when or how, but apparently test audiences were confused. So they are refilming that, reshooting that with Ben Affleck Batman, which is why I think we saw Ben Affleck Batman like got leaked a couple weeks ago or however long ago with Jason Momoa.
He's right behind Evan right now.
Yeah, it's right here. Wait,
yeah, sure.
It could be recorded.
Yeah, but I don't know. That's just very an interesting situation. Like, I don't know what's happening with Warner Brothers. What do you guys think about just the whole Batgirl getting canceled?
I think DC knows that it's not good enough. DC wants to be Marvel, right? They want to be as popular as Marvel, and they want to make that high.
So you think it's a quality thing, and this is like an excuse?
I think. I mean, it was said a while ago that DC was kind of like cleaning up their films, and they're like trying to clean up their universe before they even start with their version of the multiverse. I think that like one of the things they wanted to totally redo Superman. They wanted to totally redo him, put him in a different light, and like they want to make more Superman films.
So do you think this is the start of a lot of things getting cut?
Again, I think it's stupid to put forward a production that was eventually just going to get cut anyway. Because like
I don't think they intended from it. Well, no,
like I get it wasn't intended, but still, like it's just stupid.
I'm just imagining the executives like the Gru meme. Like we'll put millions of dollars into this Batgirl production. We'll get the public hype. We'll cancel it.
We'll cancel it.
But you know what I mean? It's just stupid. So like it sucks that there's no way that they could do like a loophole because there's always like somehow to do like a loophole or something and get like around it and still have like the art to show. Because at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's still a type of media. It's an art, and the fact that it's not being shown after all that work was put into it, it's just it's sad to see.
Maybe some intern will go leak it or something.
I was just say I think that we'll see Batgirl again. I don't think that it'll be in a movie, or at least this movie, but I think that we'll see Batgirl again, at least as a subscription-based show, or maybe like a spin-off film. Showing her, at least including her in one of the future DC predicted films.
Yeah. Okay. Before we jump into the main segment, I wanted to shout out our merch store again. If you want, Daniel and I are both against supporting it. Evan has some cool stuff too.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, feel free to head on over to whateveronepodcast.com/shop. And if you want, use discount code GNARLY, all caps, GNARLY, for 20% off for this week only. It ends on August 15th. Yeah.
Grab it while you can.
All right, ready to jump into the main segment?
I can feel it.
Boosh, main segment. All right, so we're again doing this because DC's in shambles. They also made an announcement in addition to all the Batgirl stuff getting canceled, like the CEO, David Zaslav. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, sorry. But they said they're setting up a team with a 10-year plan to like kind of turn things around, and they are focusing on quality, is what the statement said. So I'm thinking, like, what the heck were they focusing on before? Like, what?
Yeah, because they could say they're working on like quantity, right? Because like we see again, like Marvel, like they're putting out many films a year. Like, yeah, what?
I think what happened, and my theory is previous movies that have been released, they thought were quality and they thought were going to be really, really good. Honestly, I don't think that they were worried about quantity. I think they were just, they wanted quality. But whenever people still put hate on DC films and said they were so bad, I think that kind of led them to kind of regroup and say, okay, something needs to change because we are losing out our audience hard.
Yeah.
Because every single film people are hating on. It's difficult for them to kind of rebuild, but I think that's probably why they're focusing on quality. They want something that the audience is going to love before they release a film.
The CEO, David Zaslav, he said they're citing Marvel as like Marvel Studios model as like inspiration. So yeah, again, I think you guys are spot on, like that they're seeing Marvel and like we want that. But I first kind of want to go through. I have like 3 sections if you guys are cool talking about that. Like I want to talk about what they did wrong, kind of like a review of the last since Man of Steel, all those like movies, what we think they're gonna do to like turn things around, like what we think Warner Bros. Is gonna do, and then what we would do. I think that's kind of what the 3 points I want to talk about. Is that if that's cool with you guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So let's jump into what they did wrong. Back with the wide-eyed Zack Snyder in 2013. I liked Man of Steel a lot. I think when DC started, they saw Marvel and then just really tried to play catch up. Like they just tried to kind of expedite and rush the process.
I think DC is like the Wish.com of like a dark film. Like they tried to make a dark film. They try to make it dark but family friendly. You know, those two realms don't collide well
because they're trying to appeal to like a wider audience.
Right. And I think that I'd say they're very much getting better with including some dark bits into their film, because that's what people want with superhero films. They don't want all like, I'll save the day, and swoop in, save the girl. You know, they want to see a backstory. They want to see a dark side of the superhero. They want to see the dark side of the supervillain. And so,
just you said like we want to see backstory, and then like we just didn't get that with Batman in this universe.
Right. But the thing is, with Batman, there are so many different backstories.
Yeah. So if you do it again,
Batman Begins is like supposed to be like the backstory. There's so many different perspectives of the story that it's kind of mended in different ways. So I feel like they need to strive to, okay, we need one backstory. This is the backstory that the people love. We just have to roll with it. But I think that they've created a knot that they can't untangle as of now.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. At the same time, too, we don't need to confuse backstory with origin story. I mean, look at the Batman, right? We didn't see his origin. This was like a year. It was said that this was like a year after he was in, right?
Yeah.
Being True. Batman. But at the same time, people love that movie because you're able to attach to the character because he was still able to grow in that time, right?
It's a good solo early film.
But you need to set that up in the right order.
I think it's a very good point. Like, we didn't see his origin story there, but like we grew attached to him because it was his movie focused entirely on him. Whereas like we saw Batfleck's origin and
Batfleck's,
we saw Ben Affleck's Batman's like origin in like the title sequence of Batman versus Superman.
Yeah.
But like we didn't get attached to him because like it was focused on Batman and Superman and Lex Luthor and just like a lot going on. I actually had an analogy. So for like just the DC universe, like what they're doing. I was on the beach a few weeks ago building a fire like with my friends. So like I know from my past experiences that like you need to take your time, build it from the ground up, like use kindling and like kind of start small and then grow it into like this big flame that like will last. That's I think Marvel's example. But that takes time and like patience, and the like appeal of using like lighter fluid is like really exciting. So you just use that and like start off strong. I don't know, like Man of Steel was, and then try to rush out the building of a universe and like it burns bright for like a few seconds like while the lighter fluid's going, like Wonder Woman maybe, but like then it burns out extremely quickly because you just don't have a foundation to support the flame. Suicide Squad, Justice League.
I agree.
So then like I don't know, eventually you have to like start over and take your time, and hopefully like you'll learn from your mistakes and like start slow. So like I don't know, I feel like that's what they're hopefully will do. I don't know, I thought that was an interesting analogy. I was like, it just came to me.
Back to like the Batman and where that fits in the story. To give it some credit, I feel the way I took
that's not even in the DCEU, but yeah, sorry.
But still, like I think that even though the Batman didn't show the origin story of Batman, I think it did a really good job encompassing his emotions and encompassing why he does what he does. That film, I think, was crucial to figure out, okay, can we get inside the mind of Bruce Wayne and Batman?
2025.
Right. I think that we haven't really gotten that glimpse before. We haven't really gotten to see, okay, what's going on inside his head that he's wanting to be Batman, that he wants to take down crime.
I saw, again, just kind of go back to the like the DC universe as like a whole, but like I saw a post a couple years ago like comparing Marvel and DC movies, and like Man of Steel was like Iron Man 1, like they both kind of started off with like an origin story, but then DC I think like released like Suicide Squad next, so like that'd be just like Marvel jumping from Iron Man to like Guardians of the Galaxy as like their next film. And then they drop Batman vs Superman, so that'd be like Marvel going from like Iron Man 1 to Guardians of the Galaxy to Captain America Civil War, like, and without introducing Captain America. Like that's just like so ridiculous to like fathom. I don't know. I don't think they had a plan from the beginning, and it seems like they just try to make movies like with whatever. I haven't seen Birds of Prey, so like I like honestly forgot that was the thing.
Like they take characters that might already be established in comics and like other media, and then they make stuff revolve around that. Like instead of like having it like you said, like there's no general plan for like how to introduce it in like this like film universe way. It was pretty much just like, hey, we have this character, let's bring him in here. We have this character, let's bring him in here. I mean, like you said, Birds of Prey. The first time we see Flash as well in what was that? Justice League, right?
Justice League, yeah. With the hot dog or whatever scene in the coffee shop.
Like, okay.
I wonder if, you know how like they haven't canceled the Flash or like anything? I wonder if they're going to use that as like a hard reboot, like Flashpoint, and they can just like start fresh.
Get rid of Ezra that way?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. But I think it's interesting also just the points of these solo movies. Like you said, like the Batman is like not connected to like the DC extended universe they're trying to build, or they were trying to build. And same with like Joker. Like I think some of DC's best work, honestly, is when are these like one-off films where they let very like artistic directors kind of just go ham with like their vision.
Yeah.
Like Joker, the Batman, even Man of Steel, when like I don't think Zack Snyder had like any expectations, or they didn't really know if they were gonna like build like a universe or anything. Just like him going in like with his vision. Do you think they should like go ahead and do like more of these one-offs where they just like let directors do whatever?
Okay. This is getting into the Tory of like how you'd fix it. But honestly, what they need to do is they need to determine what kind of multiverse stuff they're doing. What I mean by this is if they can do that, that means they know how to organize their stories. Because that means,
they don't know that for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's what like in comics, right? There's rebirths with the New 52, right? So there's 52 universes in DC. Because in Marvel, right, you have the multiverse. It's like you have like infinites, whatever, right? That's how DC used to be, and then they went through the rebirth, and now they have the New 52, which is 52 specific worlds, right? That's why when you hear like, oh, Earth 1 Superman or Earth 12 Superman, stuff like that, right? That's what that's reference to, okay? So they need to determine whether they're going to do something like that, because then that means you can say, hey, the Batman, the one we just saw, is technically a part of the DCEU, but it's Earth.
But just a different.
This.
I just want to keep that New 52 like in the back of our minds, because I think that could be a like something they could build towards like Infinity War Endgame kind of thing. Maybe, I don't know.
In my opinion, I think DC needs to fix their current universe before delving into any bit of multiverse talk. Honestly, if they're going to do something right, if they're going to do it just DC right, I think they need to focus on how to develop characters first before even diving into introducing different versions or different universes or just how they change over time. Like, you need to establish that character first, have a solid origin background, and then dive into introducing everyone else.
I agree with that, but I'm just saying, like, from a writing perspective, you need to have an idea of that stuff first.
Yeah, that, like, the plan that you could, like, if all goes perfectly well, like, that's the end goal, then right backwards, like, how do we really effectively, like, get there?
Say like 5-10 years from now, we could have, like, them have this event where it's, like, again, you can have, like, Batman Who Laughs, like, is, like, destroying universes and stuff like that, right?
Or even like a dark Superman or something, like an actual dark Superman. So then you get
like the different counterparts coming together.
Yeah, well, that's let's go into like our predictions, but like I think we should talk about DC's current lineup, because it's just interesting they have so many projects. I was like made out a list that are like still in development, and I don't know if like they're planning on like adjusting these or like dropping all of these and then being like, all right, now this is a hard cutoff. Now we're rebooting, or if they're just going to kind of like transition. I don't think they should just cut everything they have in development, but they might have to. But speaking of cutting everything, we have a sponsor this episode. Boosh, bam, what a segue. Cut, dang. All right, So Manscaped,
Okay.
thank you again. Support for the Whatever One podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best of men's below the waist grooming. Their products are precision engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's performance package is the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 6 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code WWWPOD at manscaped.com. 6 million men, if my math is correct, that's about 12 million balls. Made that joke last time. Yeah, thank you seriously again, Manscaped.
Seriously,
we were given their products.
My balls also say thank you.
I don't think I showed off the bag last time.
Yeah, the bag's really nice.
For our audio listeners, this is the zipper sound of the bag.
Is it a leather or is it a PU leather, like a fake leather?
A PU leather. It doesn't.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
It doesn't smell, so maybe it's not a PU
No, like
leather.
that's no.
I don't know. Lawnmower 4.0, remember? Anyways, the Performance Package 4.0 has arrived, and it is a game changer. Inside it, you'll find the Lawnmower 4.0, like I just showed, the Weed Whacker, ear and nose hair trimmer, crop preserver ball deodorant, crop reviver toner, performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold all your goodies, which I also just showed off. Yeah, it's seriously, amazing. The trimmer's waterproof. You can say goodbye to the mess on the bathroom floor.
Honestly, guys, overall, it's an amazing experience. It cleans up the process, makes it go by super quick, and at the end of the day, if you need to take care of yourself, this is the product to do it. So go get yourself a Manscaped setup with the Lawnmower 4.0 and start trimming.
Get 20% off and free shipping with the code WWWPOD at manscaped.com. Again, that's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code WWWPOD. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Thank you again, Manscaped. Boosh! Yeah, again, I don't think they should cut everything. So I think we should now predict what they are going to do, if we think they are going to cut everything. Because they're using the MCU as, inspiration, the Marvel model. Do you think that includes Marvel's comedy? They'll use that influence?
They shouldn't.
I agree. But do you think they will to, appeal to a wider audience?
If they do, it's going to be to their own folly, because, they're already trying to do some comedy stuff. Again, we saw in Justice League and stuff like that, where you have banter between different heroes. And that's fine to have that. That's realistic. Moments like that happen. But at the same time, what made movies like Batman v Superman work, and holistically, was that warehouse scene. And them that first second where they were fighting. The rest of the movie was kind of eh. But those core moments to where you have
It's
the
gritty,
big,
and you just see
big events.
You're using modern filmmaking techniques to really emphasize and to show off Ben Affleck and Batman, they're a cool Batman with all of his gadgets at full potential. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't obviously do that in the 60s or something, when Batman first came out. But
imagine the old show, the 60s Batman.
Imagine that scene dropped in the 60s randomly. That would blow everyone's mind.
Oh my gosh. In my opinion, DC needs to do more of that, of showing off the hero to their full potential. Because honestly, I feel that's what I want going into a film. That's what everyone else wants. They want to see Batman kick some booty. They don't want to see just him walking around and something in the way playing in the background. They want to see that action. They want to see that. They want to see that. Him in an alley just. It was 5 grunts just kicking up all of them.
Halo.
So, I think that if they added some sort of comedy aspect, they would be making themselves too much like Marvel.
Yeah.
Then people won't be able to differentiate them. I think that DC needs to do something to set themselves apart and incorporate something with showing off the character, showing off the hero, the villain, or whatever. They need to use something or do something that's completely different than Marvel that they haven't done before.
So I think they should take the Marvel influence that they said they're going to do, but take that only as the influence of the structure of building an extended universe thought out and building up individual characters and then having those characters culminate in a team up Justice League movie. Don't copy it exactly, but definitely I do want to discuss later. I literally have in my notes what they could do different, but yeah, I want to get there because I do want to talk about the films and productions they have in development because it's a lot. And I'm wondering how these are going to play into this new plan the CEO has, or if you think these are just going to kind of be the end of the old era. So they have Black Adam that comes out next in 2 months, Shazam, Fury of the Gods, Aquaman 2, Joker 2, which again, not even in DCEU, so I don't know if that's even impacted. The Batman 2, the Penguin spin-off show from the Batman, the Flash movie, Flashpoint, whatever the heck they called it, Peacemaker Season 2, and Blue Beetle. That's 9 things they have in development. Like, do you think these are safe? Do you think anything's going to get changed?
I think DC sometimes overwhelms themselves with different films, and maybe that's just because, you know, or maybe that's the cause of their movies not being the best quality, or people not liking their movies as much. I think that if they focused on like 2 or 3 films at a time, or 2 or 3 productions at a time, I think that they could do really, really well and take that time and put it into those movies or spin-offs or shows or whatever.
Daniel, what do you think just about that lineup?
I'm just curious about the character aspect. I mean, like for example, like Blue Beetle specifically, I'm like, because he is like a fan favorite in some cases. But for people that don't know him from the comics, that's more of like a niche kind of thing. So I'm not seeing like a direction. That's the thing. Like, again, like they're making more movies, they're making sequels to things that's already established. There's no clear direction of like where they're going. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but they also just made this announcement like a few days ago. So like obviously all those films aren't going to reflect that. So my question is like, are these going to get scrapped, or like are these films part of that new thing, do you think? Or think they're gonna like, once all these come out, are they gonna like take a break and then like jump into something else, or are they just gonna kind of start pushing out new stuff?
That's the thing. If they start like trying to transition into something else, it's gonna be tough to see.
I feel like we need a break, but I don't know if they're willing to like set like a cutoff. Yeah, because that's a lot of money they're gonna lose out on potentially.
They gotta weigh that out. You might have short-term money you'd be losing out on, but then long-term, if you do take that break and then set things up right, that's a lot more money down the road.
Yeah, but Hollywood executives, I don't know if they think that far ahead.
Because they don't.
I just want to hear their plan. Like, I think they'll keep, my thought, I think they're going to keep going with these current projects that they all have announced and not reboot it. Like, there's too much money on the line to, like, scrap all those projects currently going. So maybe they'll, like, finish a few, and maybe they'll finish these, like, lineup of films or whatever, and, like, they'll make an announcement, like, okay, from this film on is, like, the start of the DC EU extended universe or something. DCU.
DCU.
I have no idea. Do you guys have any other predictions of what you think they would do before we get into what we would do or what they should do in our minds?
Honestly, I just hope that DC doesn't fall into the pit of irrelevancy. I think that they're doing well and growing and keeping themselves afloat. But honestly, if they're gonna catch the eye of a lot more people and draw people back, I don't think they can have those periods of time where they just don't release anything.
I don't know. I disagree though, because remember, I don't think you have to have something come out all the time. Like, remember, we had so many reincarnations of Batman over the years, and I think that's what made people excited about it, is because you didn't have a movie every year. So, like, you had time to breathe, and then when, like, after, I don't know, like, Michael Keaton's Batman, you had, like, a ton of time, like, a little bit of time, and then the next Batman, and then we had a huge break, and like, obviously we weren't, like, alive and could, like, process it, but then we had, like, Christian Bale's Batman. That trilogy was, like, awesome, and then we had, like, a little bit of time off before we were introduced, but, like, not as much time off and then we were introduced to Ben Affleck Batman. So, like, yeah. I think... I don't want to say, like, go back to that model, because it's not as profitable for them as just churning out movies, but, like, I personally would like a little bit of a break, just kind of chill for a bit, and then, like, have a plan, go ham, kind of like the fire analogy, like, take a step back, like, start from scratch, build from the bottom up. I don't know.
Now we're here.
I think those long breaks have a stipulation of those movies need to be really good. Because as soon as we started talking about this, I thought about Rick and Morty. Right, they make really good episodes, and then it's years before they release more. But
and then
people still
back.
watch it every single time, and there's a lot of people that watch it. So
and it'd probably be more hype,
because if it's always there and ready accessible, like that's the thing. Like, it kind of becomes numb.
Like an addiction, or numb. So, like, I think if they, like, completely cut off after all this slate of films, and then, like, really sat down and thought about it, like, it's Warner Brothers, so they have, like, tons of other properties they can focus on, like, in the meantime. But, like, dedicated teams, like, building something new, they can even, like, take that time to, like, make the next big thing and, like, make something new. But again, I just don't know.
Here's what I think they're going to end up doing. They're going to use flashpoints to try to redo everything and be like, okay, this is the start. That's kind of like the perfect way for them to do it, but in a way, it's also kind of like a cop-out.
It's also, like, weird because of the Ezra Miller situation, because, like...
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if anyone's going to go see that film.
In that basket, and it's just, oh my god.
Honestly, what they should do is they should just pull out one of those devices from Men in Black that wipe your mind.
Yeah.
Put it to every single DC fan and be like, you didn't remember anything. Boom. And then they start making movies that are really, really good. And then DC's going to be like, oh my gosh, this is so great.
Here's a sad thing, right? Like,
it doesn't exist. Yes, we know.
The DC animated universe is so rich. It's so good. And like they had stuff like that where maybe again like they might not have had a plan, but like the way that they did the storytelling worked out perfectly. You're able to get these really rich worlds with all these different characters. And I don't get why like when it comes to movies they just have not hit the mark, because again they've technically already done it. They did it before Marvel even did it.
I think that goes back to, again, they're giving a director like full reign over like a creative thing with no expectations of like building a universe. And I think that's what DC's really good at, but they struggle to like have someone on the top that's like unifying the vision, like a Kevin Feige. Like they need someone like that, because like again, Christopher Nolan made an amazing trilogy. Even Tim Burton, his films were like weird, but they were a unified vision that were like really kind of a unique spin on Batman that are interesting to watch. And like, I mean, Matt Reeves with The Batman, like that's a really good, solid one film. Even The Joker is a very solid film, but they just don't all connect, which I think they're trying to force things to connect that don't connect.
That's a good way to put it. They're trying to force it.
I have a question. Do you guys think that DC will always be in the shadow of Marvel when it comes to filmmaking? But do you think that fans and moviegoers will always put DC in the shadow of Marvel?
That's a very interesting question. I like that. I think I'm worried about the future of Marvel because I think I don't want to say they peaked, but they did so well so quick. And now I think that expectation is so high. I don't know if it can always keep being met. And I think people are going to start to realize that. And then people will always have like this fond memory of like what Marvel used to be. And they're going to kind of get a sour taste in their mouth of like, okay, they're just trying to like recapture that magic, but they like never will be able to potentially. I hope that's wrong, but I'm worried that's kind of where we're heading.
Here's what's going to happen. It's an inverse sine curve where one's going to be at a high, another one's going to be at a low. Right?
You're going to keep crossing?
Yeah, and it's just going to keep on crossing.
That's kind of true. DC was at a high for like a long time when they were doing all these Batman movies, but then like that was like the standard, just making like Batman movies. And then Spider-Man came in and like tried to do it, and then they kind of switched with this Marvel's like MCU cinematic universe. What do you think there'll be like something even crazier than like films being connected, like that will like a connected universe? Like what's the next big thing? You think DC will have that?
Yeah, no,
I think they might, because they're going to be forced to innovate, because Marvel has to play it safe because they're at the forefront of like the spotlight right now.
Yeah. So DC has to do what the DC pull now is that they have to make it have that more serious tone. If they have it, I don't know if they should have it be family friendly. Again, I'm thinking back to like the Batman Begins and stuff like that, like that tones like that, or even with again like what we were saying with Man of Steel, having a tone shift that's different than Marvel, and then with that, because it's different in that aspect, there's much more allure to it. The tough part is on this rise that DC's trying to get into. They're on like this very bumpy beginning. After these films come out, like the ones that you listed earlier, Jake, that's when things are really going to start to rise. After Flashpoints, and they can finally get to a point to where they can get to it.
I don't know. Just like after this,
it does. It sucks, but that's just
turn it around.
That's how it has to work. That's how it is. Like how.
I also happen? Your question about if they're gonna be in Marvel's shadow. I think right now with that CEO statement, they literally said, we are going to base it off of Marvel. So they're obviously going to be in Marvel's shadow if they're just basing it off of what Marvel has already done. So like, I think they have that's a fundamental problem. Like, it's cool that they're going to try to build that. I don't know. I'm just worried that they're going to now be in the shadow. And I feel like I'm going back on myself, because I've always been like, like DC like should just do what Marvel's doing. But like, I don't know if they should. I don't know.
I truly feel that these are just growing pains. I think that they will have something good in the future. Will it be in the near future? I don't know. I don't know how long these growing pains are going to last. I think that they are trying to figure out a plan, but they have to go through these steps to to get there, and people don't like that sometimes.
I disagree with the shadow thing, though. Think of Call of Duty as an example. Gaming universe. Where did they take inspiration from? Battlefield and Doom and other first-person shooters from before their times that were also great in their own respect, but then was innovated on in their own way.
Yeah, so I think they need to like make something, innovate on it, and I don't know what their plan is to do that. That's what I kind of want to talk about. Like, let's talk about what we would do now to fix it. But so yeah, let's jump into like if we were given the reins to Warner Brothers and the keys to the DC office, what is your like 10-year plan starting from the beginning?
10-year plan?
That's what they said. They have a 10-year plan. Like what I think I would wait a little bit. Like I wouldn't scrap all the movies, but like, I mean, if money wasn't a factor, I would scrap all the movies actually, and then just kind of like start from scratch and like give it a few years break, or like maybe wait till all the movies were like done, then give it a few years break to give people a chance to like chill and then start craving some DC content. So again, you don't have that just like immediate satisfaction. And then I think if you're basing it on Marvel, like they started out with like solo films of like kind of sort of unknown characters. I don't know if I would do that, but maybe would you start with like a Batman solo film or like a Aquaman solo film or a Superman solo film? Where do you guys think we should start our universe?
DC has a lot of Batman content and a lot of Joker and Harley Quinn content. And they I feel like they have milked those dry.
So you don't want to start there? You want to start somewhere else?
I want to start developing characters that we don't see very often. Like Aquaman, ever since Jason Momoa started being Aquaman, we've only seen him in what, like 2 productions? And quite honestly, like I want to see different parts of Aquaman. Like
Aquaman.
No, but I think they did Aquaman. I think that's one thing this current DC universe did well, is like make him like a really cool like macho.
Yeah, they made
Jason
him into
Momoa.
a Chad.
Because he used to be a meme. He used to be a meme. Like,
He still
Puff's
is a
a
meme.
fish. Well, he still is a meme, but like he made him a muscular
A
meme.
Chad meme. That's my point. Like, it's still Aquaman at the core.
So Daniel wouldn't start with Aquaman? Like,
No.
what character do you think we should start with if we're like, again, going off the Marvel model and like trying to start with like an Iron Man type character as a solo film to launch this?
See, that's tough because like if you want to do apples to apples, technically you would start off with Batman, right? Because Batman, like universe-wise, kind of plays the same role in some situations as Iron Man. But the problem there, again, like what Evan said, he's been milked. So like I instinctually kind of am thinking like Nightwing maybe, because again we haven't really gotten that much Nightwing content.
Isn't Nightwing like tied to Batman though?
Yeah, but that's the thing. You'd be able to have.
So I think people get upset that you're like jumping
more
the gun.
Batman stuff.
No,
but
just like that you're upset that you're like doing like a Batman or a Nightwing film without introducing Batman. I think that goes back to the same issue.
No, that's what I'm saying.
We just need to get out of Gotham entirely. Just get out of Gotham.
Do you think you could start with Superman again? Because we haven't seen Superman like a solo film since 2013. It's been 10 years almost since Man of Steel. So like I think you could launch with maybe Superman. I think again like Captain America and Iron Man were kind of the heart of Marvel for the first Infinity Saga. If you're trying to like do apples to apples, you would try to develop Batman and Superman kind of individually in their solo films, and then like they eventually come together and then do all these solo films and eventually like make the Justice League. Like I think that's if you were like framing it exactly like that.
I agree.
No, that is the arc. That's what we need. Okay, before we get into the characters, I think we should talk about that too. Like, what key moments do we need to have?
Yeah, like what would it build to? I think the first like phase, whatever, could build to them forming Justice League, and that's like the end of like what Marvel's phase 1 was, I guess.
Yeah.
So we would then have like solo movies or like solo movies for most of the characters, and then kind of like Hawkeye, like just kind of throw in a random character in like Thor or something. But like I actually wrote out some thoughts for like each individual character arc. Let me know what your thoughts are. So for Batman, I was thinking I kind of like where he started in the Batman, and so if you were comparing apples to apples again, like Batman over 3 phases of like saga, kind of like Marvel did. Maybe he starts out like in the Batman, like he refuses to get close to anyone because he hasn't really dealt with the loss of his parents yet, so he doesn't want to go through that again or like put anyone through that trouble of like he's being Batman, so he doesn't want anyone to get close to him, so villains can't use them as like leverage, and that makes him very lonely. Then throughout his trilogy and like beyond into the team up movies, his arc is to learn to get close and trust people again as a team. So like in Justice League like helps him with that, and then like maybe years and years down the road, like he learns to like accept people again and allows himself to get close to Catwoman or like his wife or something. And I don't want that to feel like he's being soft, but like I feel like that's a very interesting just like character arc, just study like the psychology of Batman and how like his parents' death would impact him. And that's kind of even similar to what Christian Bale's arc was. Like, he started out like very closed off from everyone, and then by the end he learned to hang up the cape and go out with Catwoman. But I think it would be cool to see that fleshed out more over like a 10-year thing. And like I even thought like a little setback could be like maybe after the Justice League forms, like in phase like 2 or whatever, like maybe Alfred dies and then like he really closes himself off. But because he has formed a team of like people that respect him of the Justice League, they help him out of this, whereas before he didn't have anyone that could have helped him through that situation. I don't know, what are your thoughts on that, just like arc pitch?
I like it. I think that drawing out the arc would help, because I feel like in each film, each character has an arc just in the entirety of the film. But honestly, I would like to see how Jake's talking about. I would like to see their arc kind of expand over a few movies.
Yeah.
And just see how they develop, instead of, they were at this, the end of the movie, now they're this. But
yeah,
I want a cliffhanger. I want something to look forward to.
Oh, okay. Let's take a step back for a second, though. So we already know for like phase 1 in this, right? We want to form the JLA, right? Who do we want on our roster?
Justice League. I mean, I feel like classic Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman,
Martian Manhunter. I would like to see Jon Stewart's Green Lantern.
Green Lantern. Okay. What about Aquaman?
Yeah,
I like Aquaman.
Be there.
I like Momoa's Aquaman.
Okay,
Momoa did a great job with Aquaman.
Here's how I think Aquaman should be handled in this. He should technically be part of the JLA, but he's still also a king. So like he needs to be having his Atlantean kingdom first, and then if there's like a bigger bad, that's where he gets pulled in, right? But at the same time, yeah, but like he also has to deal with his own stuff.
I don't think we need Cyborg.
It's not like the same thing where it's like again like Superman's whole purpose is to like, hey, I can defend the Earth,
Mm-hmm.
So that's why he's perfectly set to be a member of the JLA. But Aquaman's in a situation where he has his kingdom, he has his people. It's more specific. It's more he has a duty to them.
What would it be interesting? Like I like in Jason Momoa's Aquaman, like he didn't want to accept being king. Like then he kind of came into that role at the end. What if that was like expanded a little bit and like maybe his big arc is like accepting to like take responsibility and be king, and maybe he learns that through the Justice League. Like maybe he's in the Justice League because he's putting off his responsibilities as like being king or something. I don't know. I feel like there's something there that I don't know, maybe. But
like I see what you're saying, and something like that could work. It's just a matter of how it'd play out.
Do you think Flash should be in our lineup? So we have Superman.
Yeah.
Which Flash?
Wonder Woman. I don't know. Barry Allen.
I don't think
Green Lantern.
Allen, honestly. I mean, we could.
Martian Manhunter.
Honestly, if you went with like a Wally West, or
Aquaman.
Even if you had like some kind of other like
Wally
variation
West
of them, you know what I mean? At the same time,
well,
too, I
we
feel like
have to think we have to do all of these solo films beforehand,
Yes.
or like introduce all these characters beforehand. So how many movies do we want to make? Like, and do we just want to do one movie or like a couple movies? Because I feel like that's a lot. Like we have Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, Aquaman, Wally West. Do you think we need a Martian Manhunter solo film?
The Batman's Batman. Let's start off with that. Is this going to be the origin point? Because technically, like we said, it's not connected to DCEU, and he has his own take.
I feel like he's
too weak to be on the Justice League right now.
he's too young. I feel like he's too young. I feel like we need a more.
That could be interesting though. Like see him grow over.
That's what I'm saying.
In the Justice League, yeah. Yeah, that I mean, that could be a movie in itself. Just him growing in the Justice League and becoming more powerful, becoming like the now owner.
I think we would need if we're doing the Batman as the Batman in Justice League, we'd need the Batman 2 where we see him start to experiment with like more tech stuff, because he still has a lot of low tech stuff, and I don't think he would fare well just in any Justice League situation currently.
Yeah.
Because he got beat up by like
I agree to that.
the freaking Riddler that was like a dude with asthma. All right, so that's our current thing we've talked about: Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, Aquaman, Wally West. It'd be interesting to kind of look at Martian Manhunter. I don't know much about that character, and like I don't know, a solo film could be interesting, but like a little out there.
I think he should fit the role of Hawkeye. Honestly.
Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking too, but I was just spitballing.
Yeah.
What movie would you introduce him in?
That's tough. Okay, because here's the thing, right? Because he also, his persona, when he's not Martian Manhunter, he takes the role as a detective as well. So
maybe Batman interact.
He could interact with Batman in some way in that aspect, just to introduce him. But like, you don't know that he's Martian Manhunter yet, right? So again, like maybe in like a second Batman film.
I feel like he could also be introducing Green Lantern potentially, because I feel like Green Lantern's in space a lot.
True.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So what that's like kind of phase 1, like we're doing all these solo films. Do you think like phase 2, I don't know, we can start introducing like other characters?
Well, okay, let me ask this. Who do we want our big bad to be? Right? Because again,
what happens in whatever New 52? Like, does something happen that like it all splits apart or something? Like, how does that?
Yeah,
I don't know anything about that.
It's just how they organized the universe, and it was like some weird event that caused the death of like the previous multiverse, and like then caused the creation of the new multiverse, which is why it's called the New 52. I believe there was like some old iterations that stayed, like they were like quote unquote unaltered, and then there was other ones that were very changed. I just know it's how things have been since like 2000 something. I don't know.
Do you think the new like the culmination should be like a big bad, like Doomsday, or like Superman turning evil?
We need to get away from Doomsday and Kryptonian big bad BS. I'm tired of that stuff.
Do you think it could be like an event or like something?
It could be something like if they did the Yellow Lanterns right and not like they did in the Green Lantern as a freaking fart cloud, you know, that would be cool. Like seeing like Sinestro like fully do something like heinous. You could also have it be something like Brainiac too. That was something with what Injustice 2 they did well.
Darkseid. I mean, they were kind of hinting at Darkseid in the first Justice
Darkseid
League.
should be big bad. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well, no,
Are you talking about end of phase 1 or phase 3?
Like phase 3.
That's what I was thinking. Big bad could be Darkseid.
I mean, in Zack Snyder's cut, we saw a lot of that. We saw a lot of that, like, higher power. These are the people that rule. They're trying to rule right now.
I think Darkseid could be cool, honestly.
You know, Darkseid, I feel like that'd be good for, like, big bad.
A Darkseid film would be cool. Or a show. Darkseid show.
Solomon Grundy.
Why Solomon? That's no. Solomon Grundy's so based.
I looked up the greatest Justice League of America villains. Shadow Thief is one.
Like if you had like Deathstroke or somebody like that to where they are like what is it with the new game to where they had it to where the Justice League turns bad and then like the Suicide Squad has to go kill them. If you had like a take like that, but like not.
That could be like a what if, I feel like.
Yeah, but no, like hear me out. Not the Justice League turning bad, but like kind of the same situation to where you have like not the Suicide Squad, but you have assassins try to take out the Justice League. Maybe that's phase 2. I think that should be phase 2 after the Justice League is already established, because by that point, Batman would have his backup protocol set up of how to take people out. That could be like Civil War, actually, because then I would be like, hey, Batman did this where he like it left everybody vulnerable.
That happens around the same time. Like we find out about this failsafe, and then like that kind of drives a stake between everyone, and then like Superman turns evil or something like that, and then like everyone's like, oh shoot, and so like that's kind of Civil War-ish. I don't know.
I wouldn't say Superman turns evil. I think end of it, and like maybe a film or two later, we see that Superman's gone or something like that, and that's when we see that Darkseid took him over, because he can do that in some incarnations. Like he like has his servants, right? So that would be interesting to see if he had Superman as like his right hand man. And I just did my left hand, but you get the idea. And then the Justice League has to come together to try to save him, and then also stop Darkseid.
I think Darkseid is a good like third phase like big bad for this like a saga. And like the first phase is like again solo films, kind of building up the Justice League, whoever that is that we decide on the roster. Phase 2. What was phase 2 in Marvel? Like that. It's introducing kind of like other characters.
Phase 2 is like Civil War. It's like when the Avengers break up, and like that's the transition.
That was kind of in phase 3, but yeah, I guess like them doing their own things a little bit more, some more like sequels, and then I guess the hints of them breaking up, introducing a few other characters so that you can have like a big culmination movie like at the end. So like maybe that we don't introduce like a bunch of characters in the first phase, but like we get eventually Red Tornado, that's where we can start getting like the younger characters like Robin and like Nightwing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, you just said like the same character technically, but
I know.
Here's the thing: we need to handicap our heroes at points to where it makes sense for the story. If we start just letting them go
Alfred
full
dying
throttle,
is a good phase 2 moment.
Yes.
I think Alfred dying would destroy Batman, and seeing how the Justice League helps him, or maybe at this point they're fractured, so that brings Batman down even more. So that would be a way to like cripple him, so that like his fail-safes maybe don't work as effectively, or like he has to like overcome it, or like get help from other characters. That's when he starts bringing in like a similar example would be Iron Man bringing in Spider-Man or something, like we start getting other characters. I don't know. I think that's an interesting point. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. We've been chatting a while. I feel like we have a good like outline.
Yeah.
In short, I think, again, just recap. Phase 1 would be forming of the JLA.
Yeah.
I think the first, like the end of that, I think honestly should be Brainiac. And like have like a different villain, but something that's unique and everybody can then, have their part in helping take him down, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Then in the Phase 2, we start seeing them get, sequels, do their own things, but at the same time, tensions
Start to get broken
rising.
apart.
And the end of it ends with the Batman's protocols being used by like Lex or by Deathstroke or by somebody who's trying to kill the Justice League, but with them modified.
That. And so
and
that also, and Alfred
that causes
dying.
the split. Yeah, Alfred dies as well. So like Batman's just like in it, and then like on top of that, it kind of splits between like who's with Superman, who's with Batman, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now that goes into Phase 3 to where
it's like them having to try to like rebuild, and Superman, gets taken over by Darkseid.
Yeah, Superman goes, like he's gone, and then it's taken by Darkseid, and then the end
Teen
of that
Titans come in.
is where Titans come in, and then we start seeing like all these extra characters that have come in over again, like you're saying, Green Arrow and other characters like that start joining like maybe different factions, because I feel like at that point we really have the JLA anymore because it's broken.
Yeah.
So maybe they're like Green Arrow's with Batman on his side and stuff like that. But either way, like in the Phase 3, the end of Phase 3 would be like them fighting Darkseid, trying to prevent apocalypse, and maybe even like anti-life equation stuff. That's where you start getting into super powerful. Like again, we need to nerf time travel Wally and like stuff like that. Like Green Lanterns are already powerful enough on their own. If you don't nerf it, then you got to figure out ways to. When I say nerf, I mean you need to have balance there for story's sake. It's going to be boring
balanced.
if you have Superman just beat up a bunch of thugs off the street. That's why you don't have Superman in Batman's role. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
is there any stories where like Superman loses his powers for like a period of time?
I'm
sure there
depends
probably
on how you say
is.
loses. Yeah, it depends on how you say he loses his powers. 'Cause he does die. There's times where he's kept captive in like a Red Sun jail. There's times where he's kept in the Phantom Zone.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if like the Justice League, because I know they're going to space a lot. Like maybe there's like a movie where like they have to go to like a planet where Superman is like less powerful or something like that, and like seeing how they would adapt to those situations. And like maybe that's the beginning of Phase 2 film, and then like Batman starts getting ideas of how he would like counter Superman or something. That's like starts that spark or something. I don't know.
Plot twist: the Justice League goes to Krypton.
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys this though.
That'd be different.
Like,
I don't know.
what would be the equivalent to Guardians of the Galaxy to where it'd be something that's different, but
Teen
can still
Titans.
kind of come back in?
Teen Titans. I don't know.
Honestly, though, technically,
If they do
could
like a
that.
really good stylized Teen Titans, I think that it could be cool.
Yeah,
It could be, but they'd have to make it good.
Even if they change it so that like the Teen Titans, like maybe it's not Robin, maybe it's like, or maybe it's like a version of Robin that like is in space with the space people. I don't know.
the space people.
The space people.
I don't know, DC. All right, we've been talking a lot. I think we've got a good outline. Are you guys ready to jump into the next segment? If that's cool.
I am.
Yes.
All right. Totally Super TV Tidbits. Did you know that in The Force Unleashed, Starkiller wasn't supposed to have a love interest?
Really? Why?
So The Force Unleashed, there was a small development team that was kind of just told to go ham and like on their own, not much oversight by like Lucasfilm or George Lucas himself. But when George Lucas did read over the outline of the script for the game, he thought Starkiller didn't have enough of an emotional connection. So George Lucas himself, he didn't add much to the game, but he did add Juno Eclipse, which is the love interest. So he even added the name, because the name Juno Eclipse was the original name of Asajj Ventress in the early drafts before they settled on her becoming Asajj Ventress. So that was George Lucas's contribution.
That's interesting. That makes sense because without her, like I feel like his emotional motive would not be there. You know what I mean? For him to, like go through the changes he does.
It was really cool. I was reading or like watching, I think Sam Witwer like streams about it, like the guy that played Starkiller, and he was saying, one of the guys he was streaming with was one of the devs. They said that they were so far removed from Lucasfilm that like their notes came back to them via like a fax machine, and so like everyone gathered around the fax machine just waiting for it to like print out from like the notes from like George Lucas. And like they said, like after like the first page came through, like it jammed and everyone was like panicking, like trying to fix this fax machine so they
my
could see George
God.
Lucas's notes. Yeah.
Just imagine that. Just like, oh my God, that feels, I don't want to say culty, but just like kind of like you're like worshiping this fax machine. Like, when will the holy text come?
The sacred text. Maybe that's where that came from. Yeah. All right. Are you ready to jump into next segment, Rank Rally?
Yes.
All right, so we're going to go through our top 5 DC films since 2013. So not just DCEU, but all DC films from Man of Steel on. Yeah, so Daniel, let me hear your top 5 DC films since 2013.
Okay, again, I should note that I haven't seen a couple of them. Like, I haven't seen Joker or Aquaman or Birds of Prey, right? So just let that be noted. I wanted to say my number 5 is Batman v Superman, strictly because, like, it was the introduction of Batman in this universe. He had some really good moments in here. Like, as much as we, like, talk about, like how it was, like, kind of meh sometimes, like, it had its moments, and, like, it did Batman very right, and that, like, how he moves, and, like, the just how the character should be.
It showed how rich how rich he is.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, that as well.
He just comes out with guns blazing. Like, it's like, this is everything I own. This is what I can buy.
Number 4, I have Man of Steel. I actually like Man of Steel a lot because at the same time, it set the tone for how things would be going in the future. At least how things would try to be going in the future. Yeah. But in all, I think it creatively and direction-wise set a very good tone and direction for how things could have gone. Next, I have The Suicide Squad, because I feel like it was, like, it had a different tone on it, and it was something that was, you know, it had a different vibe. It was more comical, but at the same time, it, like, very artisanal moments. Like, again, like King Shark with, like, all the different fish running along, and, like,
Cool,
Harley
actually,
Quinn, where she was had, like, all the different, like, actual, like, comic like effects going around.
Like she's swimming in the starfish's eye.
Oh yeah, and stuff like that too. Like the VFX when it came to, like, some really crazy stuff like that with Starro, I had to give it props for that. Next, I would say Wonder Woman.
Really?
Yes, because
okay.
Again, I feel like it was really well done. It's because it was in a different time. It worked out in that aspect.
That's true. It was a really cool period
fit
piece
for the story. Yeah,
that fell flat for me at the end. Honestly, like the finale.
Yeah, no, the finale didn't really hit. I'm not gonna lie there. Overall, story-wise, I think was really well done for the time that it was in. And then my number 1, something's in the Batman, because, like, come on, like, it had so much of the vibe. Obviously, it wasn't the Nolan films, but at the same time, it gave Batman the film that he deserved, to where he wasn't just like, I'm Batman. He was like, I'm a detective. Like, this is what I do. I'm ground level. I go and solve these mysteries or problems and stuff like that, and, like, get to the root of where all this stuff's happening.
Speaking of the canceled Scoob sequel.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when I said that. I was like, oh. But you know what I mean, right? Like, He gave Batman the movie he deserved. It wasn't just him beating stuff up. It was, like, him using his mind.
Yeah.
All right. That's a good list. Evan.
I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate from my list. My number 5, Justice League.
Which one?
I went to go see Daniel's leaving.
I did on the list. Alright, go.
Which Justice League? Joss Whedon or Snyder?
If I'm including Zack Snyder, then Zack Snyder's Justice League.
The 4 hours was amazing.
the 4 hours was amazing.
I haven't finished it yet.
I think Zack Snyder's Justice League was one of the darkest DC movies.
Yeah, it was in black and white.
Is in existence. It's really, really good. My number 4 was Wonder Woman.
Whoa! Oh my gosh!
I really liked Wonder Woman. I agree with Daniel where a different time period kind of helped them because it made the movie different. It wasn't just like, you know, they were in Metropolis, they were in Gotham. The one scene where they're in the trench and they're fighting against German artillery, and Wonder Woman's like, I have to save them. All you see is Wonder Woman, and it's just walking through the dirt.
That was a very cool moment, and they use it all the time for the AMC Nicole Kidman commercial. So, like, obviously it elevates it.
Yeah. My number 3, The Batman.
Whoa.
Probably not the reason that you'd expect. I loved the Penguin. Bringing him back. He's not quite a villain yet. Just seeing Batman's emotional story arc rather than his physical story arc was very powerful to watch. And
yeah, definitely a different take.
Whenever he's, like, going through nightclubs and stuff like that, searching for information. I'm a big fan of James Bond. So, like, going through nightclubs to find information is a common thing in those films. And so that's something I really enjoy.
That's cool.
My number 2 is Joker. I loved Joker. The morbid, different scenes of Joker with his mom, with everyone just treating him so poorly, and seeing that entire story arc. The whole scene where is he dressed like a clown? He's holding the sign. He's holding a sign.
He's dressed like a clown. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's holding the sign. And the guys, you know, bump into him, steal the sign. You see emotional Joker, which is something that you you haven't seen.
That's true. They made you like connect with him, which I was not expecting. That's one thing I'm not a huge fan of with all the like villain stories is like they try to make them too relatable. Like, I don't know.
I was to redo Joker, I would go through.
You haven't even seen Joker.
Well, no, but no. Here's my point. I wouldn't do an emotional connection like that. I would have it be more like the Red Hood, how he originally was the Red Hood, and when like Batman kind of caused him to fall into the vat of acid and all that. Mm-hmm. But do that and have a twist to that somehow.
It was cool to see like how society like really just took advantage of this person and how it drove him to become the Joker. Like I did like that aspect of it.
My number one DC film of all time. I don't care how much hate I get on this. Man of Steel. I've seen Man of Steel probably close to 30 times. Every time it's on TV.
I thought you said that earlier for some reason. I think Daniel did. And so I thought you were going to say Suicide Squad was your number one.
No, I was actually I was actually teetering between the first Suicide Squad and Justice League for number 5. Because I know
the first Suicide Squad?
People didn't like this first Suicide Squad. Bro, Enchantress in that Suicide Squad? Oh, I won't even get into that. It's dark, it's cool.
Slipknot in the first Suicide Squad?
Oh my gosh.
All right, sorry,
y'all just DC haters. But anyways,
no, it's just I hate bad stories. It's not DC.
Man of Steel showed Superman's arc and him getting stronger, him learning about his powers, him learning about how to use his powers. That's a very unconventional way of showing off a superhero nowadays, because now it's like they know what their powers are. They're just kind of like using them, and then like they might learn about one or two. But Superman, it's like...
That's a good point about him learning a lot. Like, I think they took a lot of time on that, which is cool.
Right, he's essentially building himself from the ground up. You definitely feel connected to the film after watching it, especially if you're as into Superman as I am.
Yeah. Ready for my list, my top 5. I'm going to go through my top 5 DC films since 2013. So, my number 5, I have Batman vs. Superman. I think that's what you had, Daniel, as well. Mm-hmm. This would have been Snyder Cut, I feel like, but I haven't finished that because I was in college and some girls came into my room. When we were watching it. We kept watching it, but we were like, we just want to go to the bar and like hang out with women. So we left, and I haven't finished it.
We want to socialize.
Or women. And also Batman vs Superman is just a little fun introduction to Batman. I wish we got a full origin story for him, but seeing Superman again, there were like great elements. I feel like Lex Luthor honestly like had a kind of cool plan. I was wondering like where the heck did he go? Like freaking I thought they were gonna set up Deathstroke later, but true. Whatever. I liked the new interpretation of Lex Luthor in this, honestly. Then my number 4, I have The Suicide Squad. I mean, James Gunn is just a legend, and this also spawned the Peacemaker spinoff, which is freaking amazing. But like, I don't know, The Suicide Squad has like great characters. The end with the giant starfish was cool, a little like out there, and like again, like we said, great visual moments, like Harley Quinn swimming through the eyeball. Really fun moments. Number 3, I had Man of Steel on my list. So, I mean, it spawned this current run of the DCEU when I still had hope for this universe. Zack Snyder's vision was very cool. Again, first time kind of seeing a darker, more serious tone compared to the past few Marvel movies. And Henry Cavill was just amazing as Superman, in my opinion.
So good as Superman. So good as Superman. Yeah. Honestly, probably my favorite.
Wow, okay. My number 2 then, I have Joker. It's a very like artistic and different film. Not my favorite. Like I definitely think it was a little overhyped. Like when it came out, everyone was like, this is changing cinema. And like it definitely was amazing. But like, I don't know. I don't think it was as hyped. Maybe a hot take. But the elements worked well. A new interpretation of the Joker. Again, seeing how like a society can like transform a man into like this monstrous villain. It had a vision and it was executed very well in my mind. Then my number 1, Green Lantern. Just kidding. That wasn't from. That was before 2013.
That's the reason why you're cutting it because of the time.
Yeah, my number 1 is The Batman. Like, I really liked it. Like artistically, it was like a great film. It was like such a good detective story. It was like the closest Batman film to like an auteur film, I feel like. I really just liked it. And also my roommate auditioned to be in it. You know the role of like the bouncers at the nightclub, the twins? He and his twin auditioned for that part. So I think that's kind of cool.
Oh, that would have been cool.
I don't know. That's my list. Take it or leave it.
Nice.
Your list is kind of similar to mine. I like that.
Yeah. That's the show. We'll jump into the next segment here in a minute. But again, just wanted to say thank you to Evan for joining us. Anything you'd like to shout out before we jump into the next segment?
Keep following Darkcrest. I'll do a co-shout out with Daniel.
That's Daniel's game studio, yeah. And he's doing the social media. We'll see you in the next segment. Here we go. Boosh. Thank you again, Evan, for joining us. You ready for Patron Shout-Outs, Daniel?
Yeah, hit me with them.
Cue the epic Star Wars music. Boosh. We got Patron Lori, Frank, Rick, Lisa, Evan, Tony. Thank you so much for pledging the tier. We get you the shout out if you like to support us over on Patreon. Like it's down in the description. You get the audio episode early and a lot of other special benefits and cool perks. Thank you to our Patreon supporters. We have also going to jump into our next segment. Cool comments. No Toddy 609 commented, "Can you make a video about The Boys?" I want to do a video about The Boys eventually, maybe for season 4, but Daniel hasn't watched it.
I need to catch up. I know. I need to watch it. Okay, here's the thing. I did not know I had Amazon Prime Video. I thought Amazon Prime and Prime Video were two different things.
What?
So I saw the other. Yes. So I saw the other day. I'm like, wait. I have access to all of this stuff, so it's gonna happen really soon.
So
now.
Daniel's productivity is just going out the window now. It's gonna
yeah,
binge
honestly.
everything. All right. Anyways, ready for the outroduction?
Yes, tell me when.
When?
We just talked about whatever we want to talk about. Now we're done. Blah.
Thank you seriously, everyone, for listening. We seriously, really, genuinely appreciate it. We've got the next few weeks of content lined up, and there are some pretty exciting episodes. I'm really excited for them. So stay tuned, subscribe, leave a comment or review.
Do all the button things and everything else.
Thank you. Check out Manscaped as well. Yeah. Thank you again for Manscaped sponsoring this, giving us this stuff.
Yes, very much.
Goodbye.
Peace.